Hi team, today's DVD is the company update, the Foundations for Growth update that every 6 months one of the leadership team present in a number of the regions around the country, and it's always been a concern of mine that the distribution team struggle to get along to these presentations. So as part of our new approach to communicating, I've decided that we'll video these. So sometimes it'll be me, sometimes it'll be other senior managers, but one way or another, every 6 months the company update will be videoed, and you guys will get a chance to get a bit of an update on what's happening in the business, what the outlook is, and other important things that you need to know. So the first slide is really pleasing to be able to share. It's sharing some information about a really fantastic 2010-2011. You can see some market share growth referred to there, excellent cash flow improvements, and one in particular, a very strong balance sheet. And that for Ballance is going to be really important for the coming years, because what that will allow us is to have the funding to continue to grow and to accelerate the growth. And as you'll hear through the presentation, being able to grow is certainly core to the strategy of the future. One of the other benefits of the strong balance sheet is it's allowed us to renegotiate our banking arrangements, and all that really means is when bankers look at our business, they see a far stronger business, a far more reliable business, a lower risk business. They're far more interested in lending us money, and when we recently went out to tender, we were able to save $1 million on our banking funding costs each year, which was a good result and some pleasing money to put in the bank. And certainly something very important to all of us is that a strong year has ensured that we got salary reviews and bonuses were available as well. So a little bit more of the facts and figures about the year. Group revenue up 10% to 760 million. A record profit, that was really pleasing to be able to share. $85.9 million that we were able to make as a business. That was a lot of that was driven off sales tonnes growth, and as you can see, that went up to 1.4 million tonnes, and the amount that we were able to return to shareholders, and this is something that I've spoken to a number of shareholders since we've announced our results, and they really are delighted with the amount of money that we've been able to return to them. 49 million for a $50.29 rebate. As I've mentioned previously, that's the kind of rebate levels that we want to be the new norm to really differentiate ourselves from anyone else in the fertiliser industry. So some really good news, but also a bit of a caution. We can't rest on our laurels, and a clear message that's come right through the board and through the senior leadership team is that we need to keep an eye on our costs so that we don't get fat and lazy and sloppy. We've got to make sure that cost control is regularly a feature in our minds. To put some commitment behind that, as a leadership group, we've committed to the board that we will deliver a $2 million better cost budget than what we've budgeted. So there's various things that I'm looking at in distribution to keep our costs under control. So as relevant, we'll share those with you guys. But to me, it's the broader message. As always, keep the costs tight. We can't afford to get sloppy and erode some of this good gains that we've made over the last few years. So a little bit of information about how things are tracking so far this year. So on this table, you can see the last year's total, the almost 1.4 million. Have a quick look to the right and you'll see a pretty stretch budget that we put in place this year. Just over 1.5, close to 1.6 million tonnes. We've had an okay start. We're not tracking to budget, which is a bit of a concern. Some challenges regarding weather and a bit of a late start. We're confident that we'll pick up in the next few months. That's going to put a lot of pressure on all of us, and I'm very aware that in the distribution network in particular, a compact season puts an enormous amount of extra pressure on you guys to pump the volume out, but we need to do that to really help get the company back on track for its sales volume target. One of the most important measures that we are assessing ourselves on is our market share. A bit challenging to measure, and it really can only be done once a year when we compare the annual reports of the two main fertiliser players. We've framed our aspiration as target 60, which is to have 60% of the New Zealand fertiliser market. And in this last 12 months, we've made some really good gains along the path. You can see there that we had an increase of 2.7% share. 160,000 tonnes above target, which we were really pleased with when we saw the results. And we've now achieved a market share that we assess about 54%. So well on the track to achieving target 60. These customer strategies have been around for a wee while, and the ticks show that we've managed to do a lot of good work to achieve progress on a number of these, a couple outstanding. They've been presented again for you just to scan through and really reflect that we are a customer-focused business. Being a shareholder cooperative, farmer-owned cooperative like we are, our customers are our shareholders are our customers. So in my mind that raises the bar that extra bit more to make sure that we maintain and remain customer-focused. So a lot of good news to date. This is one that the message isn't quite as positive. Health and safety, I think most of you will be well aware, has a huge priority within Ballance. In the presentation I did recently, I mentioned that for me, health and safety, zero harm to the environment and to employees is a non-negotiable #1 priority for anyone working within Ballance. That's managers and that's staff to take self-responsibility. So to continue to be hurting and harming our staff members in the way that we are is not pleasing at all. When we look at some of the incidents that happen, without exception, there were things that could have been done differently that would have avoided the incident or the injury happening. So I know they're avoidable. What it means is that we need to remain mindful and put in extra efforts, do more than what we're doing. We need to achieve that zero target. It's a non-negotiable target that we're working to. And it is very much about a mindset change. And as I was thinking about it, to me it's the kind of mindset I would be the first to admit that probably 15 years ago, climbing a ladder at home, whack the ladder up against the side of the house and up she goes. Wouldn't think twice about any other issue. Nowadays, when I look at putting a ladder up and climbing on the roof, I'm looking for stability. Is this safe? Is the angle right? What hazards are there? What happens if I fall? Is the area clear? It's all those things about being mindful when you're doing activities or tasks that expose you to potential hazards. And that's the message for you guys. You're working in an environment where you are exposed to hazards, and I really want you to be mindful, to take 5 to think about things before you do a task. If you're removing a guard to do some maintenance, recognise the guard was there for a reason in the first place, so you will be exposing yourself to a hazard. When you're working at heights, recognise that that is a dangerous activity. And I could go on, but the bottom line is it's our #1 target. We're not achieving the results that I want to achieve, that the business wants to achieve. Today you'll notice I am wearing my health and safety shirt that we all got given in the 2008-2009 year to signify that in distribution we had 12 months LTI free. So I know it can be done, it has been done, I'm looking forward to it happening again, and I'm looking forward to issuing everyone with another band of shirts to recognise another year of LTI free. More good news. In the environment front, recently we put ourselves forward to be audited for our environment systems, and a number of our operating sites are now 14001 ISO environment compliant. That's a really big achievement, and a lot of work's gone in by those sites to get that achievement. The corporate office has also been accredited. As a business, we've made a lot of public statements about our commitment to the environment on farm and within our operations. So to be recognised and to achieve an accreditation like this really proves to others that there's substance behind our words. So we'll be looking at expanding this accreditation through other parts of the business. Distribution will have its time, and that will take more effort, but it is a really important commitment that we need to make. So great result for the company to have made this first step. This great news is equally couched with some not so good information. The chart that you can see here shows the number of environment resource consent breaches that we've had over the years. This is another one where the target's 0, pretty simple target. What you need to recognise is every time we have a breach, we're breaking the law. The Resource Management Act is a statute, and resource consents are a legal document, effectively a contract that we have with regional councils to achieve a certain level of compliance. And when we breach, we're not meeting those commitments. Another area where we hope and we expect through the focus on 14001 accreditation will raise the bar more and put a higher focus in this area, and look forward to better results in the future. The Super Air story is a great story to share. Some of you have been around for a while will certainly be aware that the history of Super Air has been peppered with some terrible incidents, fatalities, double fatalities, and 5 years ago the company was really concerned about the future, the viability of us remaining in this industry. Graham Martin and his team at Super Air have really made some great improvements in those last 5 years, and it's all about culture change. The first three words on the slide hit it home for me: remains injury free. And Super Air is approaching a really important milestone of 1,500 days lost time injury free. Not quite there yet, very close to it. And that is an amazing turnaround, and to me sets the pinnacle that many of us should be aspiring to, and certainly in distribution I would really love to be able to have performance like Super Air has been able to achieve. And it's taken a huge amount of effort from a lot of people from the top down to achieve those results. And they've achieved those results in the same time where there's been a lot of pressure on that business to take costs out. The whole industry's been through some tough times while the sheep and beef sector was not performing well. It's certainly rebounding at the moment, which is helping Super Air's performance. But during those down years, they really looked at the cost of the business and took a lot out, took planes out that weren't profitable, and at the same time as achieving some great safety results, which is good. And the third thing they've achieved is not only have they done that for themselves, but they've started to really influence some changes within the industry. And so higher safety standards are not just a feature of Super anymore. Those same standards are starting to find their way into CAA regulations, and other ag aviation companies are starting to lift their performance closer to where Super Air is. Super Air is still well out in front, and it's a delight to be able to say that they are part of the Ballance group. Another change in recent times has been a name change. Summit Quinfos name is out and Altum is in. Be aware that the pronunciation is important. Some people are pronouncing the name incorrectly, but it is Altum. I had a chat to Willie Thompson this morning just to get a little bit more background about what the name actually means. And there's a whole lot of different backgrounds to the name. It talks about nourishing, sustaining, reaching higher grounds. So a lot of really positive words that made sense to us for the new name for the business. Some of you might be wondering why change such a powerful brand name in the market. That was part of the sale and purchase agreement that we had when we purchased the remaining shares of Summit Quinfos, that within a couple of years we would change the name. So we've done it. The brand name is now getting a lot of exposure in the marketplace, and we see a really positive future for this business. The sales are growing, and yeah, really positive story for Altum. SAP, we're now well and truly out of the valley of despair that we did find ourselves in after we went live with SAP. That was quite a natural period of time when you implement a new system. And now we're really starting to get the benefits that SAP was always there to provide, and it was always promised to achieve once we got through those early teething times. So some of the things that we've been able to now offer our clients is online ordering. Customers can now order products online, both for Ballance and Altum, which is a service that we weren't able to offer in our previous system. Credits is another area that we've made some positive improvements on. And now for several months in a row, we've achieved more than 99% of the orders that we dispatch. All the invoicing information is absolutely perfect, which is a good result. We want to do better, but we've achieved a good milestone there. Those of you that have access to the computer system will have hopefully had a chance to play with human resources online, which is a way to print off old pay slips, check your leave balance, ask for leave. those of you that don't have access to the computer, you can still get on and when you've got the time available to have a look at those things. So it's not just for those that are regularly using the computer. Everyone's got the ability to do that. So if you haven't, have a look, and I think that's quite a neat feature. You can now enter in incidents, health and safety and environment incidents directly online. It's easy, it's simple, I've done it. That was another barrier that we've knocked away to entering in incidents. Purchase requisitions used to be quite a convoluted process to get approvals of requisitions. That's now been streamlined with a workflow system that automatically advises people when requisitions are required for approval. And in the very near future, a couple of other benefits that we'll receive from SAP is being able to trade with consignment stores online and merchants online. So they'll have access directly into SAP using something called a web portal. Continuous improvement has been another area that we've started to get more involved in and put more effort in. Many parts of the business have been following continuous improvement principles for quite a while. So recently, we were on the back of some of their early successes, we wanted to roll out the program wider within the business, and now most of the manufacturing plants have employed a system called green rooms, which is a formal way of running a continuous improvement program in-house. Green rooms are becoming a feature in the distribution network, and it's all about reducing waste, whether it be simplifying a process, avoiding rework, avoiding duplication, monitoring performance, looking for areas where we have defects, and asking questions of what can we do to eliminate those defects in the future. Pretty straightforward and obvious principles. What Green Rooms does, though, is allows us to make progress in a structured way and to allow some of those ideas to actually be implemented, which is often the barrier of getting good ideas in place, was not knowing how to go about getting them approved or implemented. That's what continuous improvement is all about. There'll be a lot more in the space going forward, and so look forward to getting involved, and I certainly look forward to your support on that. Inventory management's a core part of our business, and we've been through periods where we've had to be lean and mean on our inventory. Certainly during the global recession, we had to look at cutting costs and to minimise the exposure to inventory. So we've gone through that period, and now as the sales are starting to grow, so is inventory. The biggest challenge for us is making sure that we have enough inventory on hand to support the growth in sales and for it to be here at the right time, but not too much, because it does capture a lot of cost in our balance sheet and becomes lazy capital tied up in inventory. So it is a difficult balance. We don't always get it right. You guys would know that well. We need to get better at it. I think it is worth noticing there that our annual stocks have risen by 95,000 tonnes to where they were this time last year. So we are holding a lot more product. We just need to make sure it's the right product and it's at the right place at the right time. Previously, I've spoken about the high performance culture. That was a feature of the distribution conference. And it's one of those themes that is that will become more regularly referred to over the next few years. On the basis of great results, a great balance sheet, some good strategies, which you've heard about, all of that's fine, but if you haven't got a culture that's supporting that, nurturing that, and allowing performance to occur at the highest levels, then you're not going to achieve the results that you want to achieve. So as a leadership group and as people at all levels within the business, really looking to aspire to a high performance culture, it is about doing the simple things really, really well. And we need to be a high performance culture for no other reason than our customers continue to ask more and more of us. So, and another great spin-off of a high performance culture is they tend to be a great place to work. And we do measure that through the Great Places to Work survey, and you've heard a bit about that in previous presentations. So you know that we've got more work to do on that front, but I think it's really neat that the company has set this aspiration that we want to be a high performance company. So you can see in the next slide a couple of visuals there, and really the visuals tell the full story. The All Blacks are there's probably no better example of a high performance culture than the All Blacks, and all of us have recently experienced the excitement of what that high performance culture combined with a great strategy and great people was able to achieve with achieving the World Cup win. So that's the kind of parallel that we're looking for within the distribution group within Ballance. In distribution, you've heard me refer to mixing with the best as our company vision. So to me, that links very closely to the high performance culture that we're aspiring to. If we're recognised by our peers, recognised in the industry as being the best, it almost certainly will because we've developed a high performance culture. An important effort that we've put in the last 12 months related to high performance culture is the values refresh. So as we started to think about the logical things that we needed to do to support a high performance culture, we reflected on a number of things, including the values that we had stated in company documentation, and recognised that the words were a little bit dated, and so we went through a values refresh. The process was as important as the outcome. Liz Muller led a series of workshops involving people at all levels within the business and all parts of the business. In fact, I think close to 120 people were involved and were able to contribute. So the outcome is your values. You're part of it, you've contributed, and we've covered those in some quite succinct statements that I'll cover in a second. To me, values is really what we stand for. It helps us have a barometer to test whether our behaviours are in alignment with the stated company values. And I think the way we've phrased them and the words that have been used make it really easy to test that. They're there to guide us, and they are the foundations of our culture as stated in the slide. So the first one, courage, do the right thing. So when you find yourselves in situations where you're saying, should I, shouldn't I, not too sure, use this value to guide you. Do the right thing. What's the right thing for the customer? What's the right thing for the business? What's the right thing from a safety perspective? Have the courage, if you're not happy with the safety of a situation, to say so if someone asks you to do something. Have the courage to say no if someone asks you to do something you just don't think is right. So those are just some of the examples of behaviours linked to this particular value. And you'll see on the slide a whole lot of other elements of courage. Lead by example. Make it happen. Have the courage to get on and do something. Linked to green rooms. Don't just sit passively and say, oh, well, this is a new process. I'll see what happens. Say, no, I'm going to have a go at this. Maybe out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to give it a go. Do what it takes. So put in the effort required to achieve the outcome you're looking for. Stand up and be counted. Don't be a lost voice in the background. Say what you think. Have the courage to share your views. I'm really interested to understand what people think about things. I know not everyone shares my views on things. I want to understand why. Why not? So I can learn. Maybe my views might moderate on things if I hear them. Equally, maybe through discussion, others might get a different perspective from their previous views. So that's what courage is all about. The next value is credibility. Do what we say we're going to do. To me, this fits really well with delivering product on time to our customers in the distribution network. So our customers expect us to do that time in, time out. I've mentioned before that we're not achieving that as regularly as I'd like to. So we have some credibility to catch up with our clients. So that is a focus for me. It should be a focus for all of us to look at improving our credibility when it comes to product delivery. But as you can see on the slide here, a number of things that we can look at for credibility. Act cooperatively. Say what you mean. Build trust. So as courage was, do the right thing. When you have the courage to do it, actually back it up and do what you say you're going to do. And credibility can be delivered no better way than delivering on results. So achieve your budget, achieve the targets, achieve the KPIs that have been set for you. That's all about building credibility. And the final value that we've come up with is capability. Do it well. So this, to me, fits very well with the continuous improvement, the continuous learning that we as an organisation are doing. So aim high. Capability only improves when you set a stretch target and you achieve it. And that's one really good way of improving capability. Plan to succeed. So don't just wing it. Make a point of planning to achieve your high results. Work smarter. And the final one, learn and improve. Make a personal challenge to learn new things through the year. Include it in your performance appraisals. All of those things are about building capability. So late last year, as we started planning our next strategic review cycle, the leadership team and the board decided that we really wanted to look at a different time frame than what we'd typically looked at in our strategy reviews. Typically, we'd focus primarily on the next 3 years, but we realised that we needed to stretch our horizons of strategic thinking and decided that the year 2020 was a good mindset to be thinking about. So that became the catch cry of our strategic planning this year. Target 2020, the vision of 2020, what we want to look like as a business in the year 2020. So the first thing we looked at doing was reflecting on who our shareholders and customers are. We know who they are today, we know what types of products and services they're interested in today, but we really wanted to think about what the 2020 customer would be like. What services are they interested in, which is the next one around what products and services would they be looking for us to provide? And then the challenging part is how are we going to deliver them the products and services that they're looking for in the year 2020. And a lot of work needs to be done in this space, but what we've got now is a clear direction and a clear vision for our strategies over the next 8 years. Core and central to that is a new statement of our vision, which is complete nutrient management. This is a picture that should be familiar to many of you, but I'll just walk you through some of the key elements. In the past, the Ballance fertilisers has operated primarily in the bottom left-hand corner, soil nutrition. And we've provided expertise and advice to our shareholders in that space, and they've been very pleased about that. When we reviewed the needs of the 2020 client, we've recognised that the farmers in the year 2020 will be looking for complete nutrient management advice. They want to be looking at optimising their farm system, and they recognise that to do that you can't just focus in one area, you've got to look at the entire farm system. So that's shaped our strategy of today, and it will shape our strategy of the future. And already that started to unfold as we've looked at other parts of the nutrient cycle. Rumen activity is very much linked to feeds, animal feeds, which has led to us in our investment in the Seals Winslow business to beef up that part of our offering. Effluent management, another area where farmers are starting to put a lot more emphasis on. So technologies like AgHub, which we've invested in recently, will help in that space. Bottom line is, the Ballance of the year 2020 will have capability, credibility in delivering products and services in all of these areas, and that's will create quite a lot of exciting opportunities over the next few years. So a little bit more detail about what the business will look like. We see the Ballance being a group of companies, a bit like it is today with the Super Air and Altum, and recent acquisitions or partial acquisitions of Seals, Winslow and AgHub. But watch this space. We do see that there will be more businesses added to the portfolio, all still sitting under the Ballance umbrella. Ballance will be 100% owned, New Zealand owned. That is really important, and it's a clear direction from the board. As we grow, while at times we will look at outright purchases, but more typically we'll look at acquisitions through joint ventures, strategic alliances, and other licensing agreements. So you'll see a lot more of those type of acquisitions in the future. Portfolio of products and services is going to grow, and that is a big issue and a challenge for us in distribution as we try and figure out how we're going to cope with a greater product range. So that's something we've got to nut out. We don't have all the answers, we've got some ideas, but if you've got thoughts or ideas, certainly we'd love to hear about those. I've mentioned earlier, superior customer services is a core part of our 2020 vision. Making it easier for farmers to farm. Farmers are facing, like we are, a lot more pressure on the cost front, but probably more so for them on the environment front, how they can ensure that their farms and operations remain environmentally sustainable. So we are certainly looking to help them out in that space. We are looking to provide consistent and superior rebates and dividends. And one phrase that I think is quite neat that wraps a lot of that up for me is that we want farmers to deal with us because they know by dealing with us they can make 10% more in their farming operation. So that gives you a little bit of a flavour of what the 2020 year will look like. A few more specifics in here, a bit more detail. We certainly see that there will be growth in the sheep and beef market. We're already starting to see that. So we are looking at various expansions in plants and looking at product improvement to ensure that as products spread, it's being spread in a standard way to allow farmers to get best return from the product being spread. Some farmers are looking for more service, others for less, so that creates us a bit of a challenge. We will have to look at differentiated service offerings. So we are looking at how our business is structured and fully expect in the future that the sales team will look different to what it is today. We'll have teams that are offering a high service model and teams that are offering a lower service model as one example. There's definitely a move towards what's referred to as System 5 farming in the dairy industry, and simply that means that people that are operating at a System 1 level are almost entirely reliant on grass to feed the stock in their farm. People that are operating at level 5 are using a lot of feed, in fact almost exclusive feed. And we're seeing a shift in the dairy market to people moving from dairy systems 1, 2 and 3 to dairy systems 3, 4 and 5. So that was another reason behind our need to get involved in the feed business, because we see that that's going to be definitely a growing market. And we also need to look at ways of reducing our farmers' environmental footprint and our own environmental footprint, which was a key reason why we got involved in the PGP bid that we were successful in, to give funding for research and development in this area. So an event that certainly had a big impact on our business in the last few months was the fire at Kapuni. Thankfully no one was hurt, and no one has been hurt as we've gone about the rebuild, but it has had a major impact on this business. As I sit here today, the plant's still not operating, and latest best estimates are mid-November. So we had to kick into gear as quickly as we were able to import extra urea. That doesn't happen at the click of a fingers, so it did take a while for that to get in, and we did have some supply challenges as a result. We've worked our way through the majority of those, and Kapuni is on track to be back on stream, which will certainly be a relief for all of us. So in summary, the outlook's good. The outlook for our business is positive. We've had some recent really strong performance, and we've got, in my view, an excellent strategy that will take us through to 2020. And the company generally is in good shape. Our clients are in good shape. Sheep and beef resurgence, dairy's still strong. Hort's had some knockbacks, but generally looking okay. So it's fantastic for us that all of those areas are operating strongly, which gives a positive outlook for us. We need to keep the focus on the customer. Continuous improvement, doing things better and better, linked to our capability value of learning, is another theme that you'll hear more of and have more focus on. And cost control. Can't get fat and lazy, we've got to make sure that we keep an eye on the dollar. We have made some good investments, and we'll continue to make good investments to ensure that our business keeps growing. And we're also very well placed within our core business. We haven't taken our eye off the ball. We will continue to be New Zealand's leading fertiliser supplier and manufacturer, and continue to grow that core business as we achieve the Target 60 goal. So that's it. That's the Spring Foundations for Growth update. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, I do intend to ensure that these are videoed every time we do them, which is roughly every 6 months. So you get a good update of what's happening in the business, so you don't miss out just because you can't get along to one of the live presentations. Still make an effort to get along to those, because that does allow you to ask questions and get a little bit more involved. So treat this as if I can't get along, at least I'll get a chance to see the video. What I also want you to do is take the challenge to reflect on what you've heard today and think about what you could be doing differently to either align yourself with the values, contribute to a high performance culture, get ready for continuous improvement, look at cost control. So a lot of this hopefully has given you ideas, or at least a bit more motivation to get involved. Thanks again for your attention, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.